Hello, thank you for stopping by. My name is Becky and this is BecxReadz, and this is going to be a very pieced together wrap up haul, unhaul, monthly reset thing. I've never done a monthly reset, but I'm gonna give it a try for the purpose of this video. So let's start off with talking about the remaining books that I finished in January that I didn't do a weekly reads on, because I knew this video was going up and I thought, why not just put it in here? So I finished reading Fury Girl by Jill M. Bean. This is the second book in the Elena Miller series, which is a series that I need to finish. So I'm very proud of myself for making progress in this series. This is a vigilante romantic suspense, I would say. This is about Elena, who she goes and she kills bad people, pedophiles, rapists, other murderers, things like that. And she has this whole group of people. It's very, CSI? No. What's that show? Criminal Minds. It's very Criminal Minds-esque. Essentially, they are trying to track down and kill other bad people in this story, all while Elena and her love interest are growing closer. They started their relationship in the first book, and in this one they're sort of cementing it. He really wants to take his time because he doesn't believe that she's ready to get into a really in-depth relationship where she's just like, let's go, I want this, and stuff like that. So there's some tension there. I like vigilante, like people taking out the bad guy type of stories. I like the found family aspect of this series. I like the characters. They all have very different personalities. The only thing I didn't love about this book was I felt like Elena regressed to sort of a teenager. In the beginning of the book, especially when her love interest, who I cannot remember his name for the life of me, I can't. But he wants to take it slow in their relationship, and she's just pouting and she's trying to make him jealous, and she's like, well, obviously you aren't attracted to me and all this bullshit. And I'm just like, he just wants to take it slow with you, babe. Grow up. So that was about the only thing I disliked about this story. I then finished reading The Wishing Game by Meg Schaefer. This is a book that so many people recommended last year. This is about Lucy, who is a teacher, and she really wants to adopt one of her students who is in foster care. However, she doesn't have the most stable of lifestyles. She's pretty much living paycheck to paycheck. She lives in a really rundown apartment. She doesn't have a car or anything like that. So she's losing hope that this will ever happen when this very mysterious author who wrote this very popular series of children's books comes out, and he writes one final book, and he invites a select few people, Lucy included, to this clockwork island, and they have to figure out these clues to try and win the manuscript of this singular book that they can hopefully eventually sell and do whatever they want with the money. So Lucy gets invited to this, and she is hoping that she can win these riddles to get this manuscript to sell in order to afford to adopt this young boy. I really enjoyed the audiobook of this. I really loved the found family. Once again, I loved the riddles, even though I am not great at riddles. Let me tell you, if it were me, I would probably have lost this game because I'm not good with riddles. But I loved the relationship between Lucy and Christopher, who is the young boy. I thought it was just so heartwarming and sweet. I did think Lucy was a bit naive because she's just like, I love him. I can give him everything he needs. And love does not take care of a child. I'm sorry. You could have the best intentions and all the love in the world for a child, but you need money to take care of a child. Children are expensive. And if you cannot provide for them, love is not going to be everything they need. And I feel like Lucy was a little bit naive in that, just thinking that love was all she needed. And it's not. And I wish people in real life would wrap their minds around that. If you can't afford children, don't bring them into this world, because love is not going to pay the bills, babe. Love is not going to put food on that child's plate. Love is not going to put a roof over their head. Love is not going to put warm socks on their feet. If you can't afford those things, don't be bringing children into this world. And that might sound like, oh my God, so you think only the rich deserve to have children? No, I think financially stable people deserve to have children. That's it right there. You don't have to be richy rich. You just need to be financially stable enough to be able to take care of yourself and another human being, because they are expensive, okay? And that is one reason that I never want to have children, is because I know that I can barely afford to take care of myself and my cat, who eats the same thing on a daily basis. I can't imagine having to afford everything a child needs in this life. So more people, I feel like, need to think that through, because children are expensive. I don't even have children, and I know this because I've worked with them. Anyway, that was a tangent that nobody asked for, but I liked this. I liked the sort of romantic element in here, although it's very minimal. It does not take up a lot of the plot, and I just liked this cozy little story of a found family and what family means and what taking risks does, and never to give up on your wishes, because you never know when a wish will come true or when you are able to make a wish come true. So this is definitely a book that I think is worth the hype. I understand why people were recommending it, and I agree. I recommend it as well. And the last book that I finished in January was A Dance with the Fae Prince. Now, this was not a book I intended to read this month. It wasn't, but I saw that the graphic audio was available on Everand, and I didn't even know this had graphic audios for it, but I saw it, and I was like, oh, okay, multicast narrated, hell yeah, let me read that. Plus, it is a book that I needed to continue in a series. So in this, we are following this girl whose name, Katria. Her name's Katria. She sort of gives off Cinderella vibes. She lives with her evil stepmother and her two stepsisters. Her father has died, her mother has died, and she is sold off to this unknown stranger to be wed so that her stepmother can get money. So, lo and behold, she finds out that her husband is actually a Fae prince. And he ends up doing this ritual to sort of take back his magic, but she intercepts it and she gets his magic. So they are trying to travel through these Fae lands to track down the things that they need for her to transfer the magic that she stole back into him so that he can reclaim his rightful place on the throne. And in doing so, some things about her lineage comes up and they end up falling in love. So this was okay. I thought it was very ACOTAR-esque. Like, I had to look and see when this book was published compared to when ACOTAR was published, because I didn't want to say, oh, this feels like ACOTAR if it was published before ACOTAR. And it wasn't. It was published after. A lot of similar vibes here, you know. She's one of three sisters. She goes to the Fae realm. She doesn't really like this guy, but she ends up falling in love with him. There was like a mention of like an 8-pointed star. There was mention of like territories that sounded very familiar. I did love the found family in here because she is surrounded by his group of people who really take her in and treat her better than she's ever been treated, which again, kind of ACOTAR-esque. I loved the setting though. I loved the Fae world and the magic that was involved in it and things like that. I loved the graphic audio of it. I thought it was really well done, which some of the people who narrated this graphic audio also narrated the ACOTAR graphic audio, which also kind of threw me, but I still enjoyed it. But this was also very predictable. I knew from the moment a certain line was said what was going to happen, and I'm just waiting for the characters to catch up with me and figure it out. I didn't feel the strongest chemistry between Davian, who is the Fae Prince, and Katria. It was fine, but I just didn't feel a lot of chemistry there. This is a very low spice, actually no spice. Like you don't get any details, or it's closed door is what it is. So if you're wanting a closed door fantasy romance, this series is great for that. But yeah, it was fine. And And with that, I've decided to DNF this series because I only gave the first book 4 stars and I gave this one 3 stars. So I'm just not all that attached to this series, and I've read this one and I've decided to give up. In January, I read a total of 11 books with an average star rating of 3.77. I had 4 5-star reads, including Unicorn Bay and Dragon Prey by S.A. Hunter, Outlander by Diana Gabaldon, and The Wishing Game by Meg Schaefer. I had 2 4-star reads, including Fury Girl by Jill M. Bean and Assistant to the Villain by Hannah Nicole Mayer. There's the cat. I had 3 3-star reads, including Warrior of the Wild by Trisha Levenseller, The Last Blood Carver by Vanessa Lee, and A Dance with the Fae Prince by Elise Kova. I had 1 2.5-star read, and that was The Witch and the Tsar by Alessia Salnikova-Gilmore. I have probably butchered her name. I also did a live show for my Black Hat Book Coven. I will link that down below where you can hear mine and other people's thoughts on this if you so wish. And I had 1 2-star, which was His Darkest Craving by Tiffany Roberts. I just don't think Tiffany Roberts is the author for me. I've read 2 of their books now and haven't enjoyed either of them. My favorite books of the month would probably have to be Unicorn Bay and Dragon Prey. These were rereads for me. Well, one was a reread, and then I went on to finish out this duology. This is a backlist fantasy romance duology that is just ridiculous and fun, and I had the best time rereading and continuing on and finishing this duology. I did 3 weekly reads videos this month. You can check out this video to hear my thoughts on Assistant to the Villain and Unicorn Bay and Dragon Prey. You can check out this video to hear my thoughts on The Last Blood Carver, which was an arc. And you can check out this video to hear my thoughts on Outlander, His Darkest Craving, and Warrior of the Wild. I did 1 recommendation video this month, and that was my Found Family recommendations, which I did with Kristen at Kristen Craves Books. So if you are looking for Found Family recs, check that out. It will be linked down below. And I also did like 1 discussion video about spoilers and why I like them. So if you would like to hear my thoughts on that, that will also be linked down below. I wanted to start sharing where I sourced most of these books from because I am trying to keep on top of not spending so much money on physical books. Yeah, you'll see when we get to the book haul part of this that this isn't going great. I was able to get 4 audiobooks from Libby, which were The Witch and the Tsar, Assistant to the Villain, The Wishing Game, and Outlander. So that was good. I didn't have to spend any money on those. 2 of them I already owned, though, physically, so there's that little tidbit. I listened to A Dance with the Fae Prince on Everand, so I got my money's worth out of Everand this month just by listening to 1 book. The Last Blood Carver was an arc, so I didn't pay for that. The 2 physical books I read were Warrior of the Wild and His Darkest Craving, and these both were books that I owned prior to this year, so I didn't spend any additional money on that. All of the ebooks that I read were free. I am still utilizing Kindle Unlimited because my cutoff date is February 14th, and when I went to cancel my subscription before they charged me on January 8th, I think, they gave me 2 months free. So I was like, hell yeah, I'll use this free service. Why not? So I didn't pay for any of the ebooks that I read this month either. I'm going to have to start paying for them come February 14th, though. let's get on to the unhaul. I don't have a lot to unhaul, so that's why I'm not making it. Oh God. My cat just came out from underneath the bed. That scared the shit out of me. Okay. Let's do this unhaul real quick. All of these books will be put on my Pango. If you see any that you're interested in, it will be linked down below. You can see if you can get any of these for cheaper. So first up, I'm unhauling The Ballad of Perilous Graves. This is a book that I got for Christmas that I tried to read it and I could never get into it the first time I read it. So this one is going. I am also selling my Arcane Society of Master of Crows. It is still in the plastic. It's got like foiled edges. It's a very beautiful edition. I just did not like this book. So I'm selling it along with the fan art if you're interested in that. I'm also selling I'm in Love with Mothman. I tried to read this. I DNF'd it. This character used hashtags way too much in her talking and it annoyed me. I am also sadly unhauling The Scarlet Veil by Shelby Mahurin. I DNF'd this book. Yeah, I feel so bad because it's such a pretty edition. Look at this. But I just could not get into this book. Celie was not a compelling character and I just didn't care about her story. So I'm DNFing the Serpent and Dove saga. I loved the first 3 books in the Serpent and Dove series, but anything that she comes out after that, I will not be reading. I'll just be moving on to anything new that she writes because this just didn't intrigue me. I am also unhauling Violet Made of Thorns by Gina Chen. I tried to read this one too and I just could not get into the story. I felt like the characters were just a little too YA for what I was wanting. This is a Fairy Loot edition. It's got this really cool Under the Dust jacket. So that will be going up on my Pango as well. I am also unhauling Briar Girls. I tried to read this one as well and it annoyed me. It was also very much too YA for me. I didn't get very far into it and I didn't like it. It does have this pretty Under the Dust jacket though. And it is signed, so it's a YA, that's all I know, but the characters were just a little too immature for me. I'm also unhauling Windcatcher. I really wanted to like this because it does have an indigenous main character. It is indigenous fantasy. But just like the structure of this book and the way that it was written, it wasn't good. Unhauling Edgeland. This is a book that I think I picked up, from Book Outlet. I should have known better. It was a cover buy, and it reads a little too like Christian inspired, like shoving Christianity down your throat type of story. And I did not like that, so it's going. I'm also unhauling Warrior of the Wild by Trisha Levenseller. This was an okay read. I liked my time with it. It's just not one that I would ever reread. Same goes for A Dance with the Fae Prince. This was okay. It's just not anything that I would reread. Oh, that reminds me, I have another book that I need to unhaul as well. I'm also unhauling His Darkest Craving, although I will probably send this back to the used bookstore that I got it from because it does have some like highlights in it and stuff from its previous owner. And then lastly, I am getting rid of A Deal with the Elf King too. I have to find the dust jacket for it, but this is the beautiful hardcover. I wanted to love this series. I really did. I gave this book 4 stars. It was okay. It's just, I'm not really drawn back to rereading it, and I didn't want to get all of the hardbacks until I knew for sure it was a series that I absolutely loved, and it wasn't. So I'm going to get rid of this as well.
You say that I'm psychotic, but then you like it like that. It's like every time the conversation changes and I want you right back, right back. You say that I'm hypnotic and that I caught you like that. It's like every time I walk into the room, you know you want what I have, I have.
Okay, after some reorganization, I think all these are books that I have owned prior to 2022. I'm sure there's more of them. I'll have to go back and watch my video, but those are the ones that I could remember. These are all adult fantasy. These are fantasy romance. These are other romances, historical, paranormal, contemporary, etc. This is my YA fantasy. This section over here are my witchy books, so I wanted to separate those so that I have something to pull from for my book club. This small section is horror. This small section is thriller mystery. This small section is general fiction, non-fiction. This section to the end is historical inspired stories, more historical than anything else. And this is my small middle grade section. So I'm pretty happy that it's somewhat organized by genre now. Alright, let's close out this monthly reset with a haul. I got an ARC from Bookish First for We Shall Be Monsters. So this comes out in June, so I will be reading this. Hopefully I like it. I requested it based off this cover. I think it has some mythology from a different culture. I think Indian, maybe? Indian culture? I don't know, but it looked cute. Oh, shit. Done. I also bought Eva Evergreen Semi-Magical Witch for my Black Hat Book Coven's February book pick. This is a witchy middle grade. This book, I have no idea what it's about other than it's set at a circus, and I heard in the synopsis it was spicy, but it's been on my like radar to keep an eye on, and the paperback was only $4 off Amazon, so I figured why the fuck not pick it up. It is Circus of Illusions. I don't know, it's supposed to be a spicy circus setting book, and that's literally what I want. So I have no idea what it's about. I also picked up Sanctuary of the Shadow with the sprayed edges. This is also set at a circus. This is a new release book. I think it's about a witch. Maybe I'll make it a book club pick one of these months. But yes, this was on my anticipated fantasy romance radar, so I thought I would get it. My cousin, right after Christmas, sent me The Kingdom of Sweets, which is a Nutcracker retelling. So thank you so much to her for gifting me this. I am so excited to check it out. And this book, I bought off Pango. It's an Owl Crate edition. I know absolutely nothing about it. It is This Dark Descent. I got it because it had a horse on the cover, and then when you take this off, it's got horses on the cover. That's the only reason I bought it, because I saw it and I was like, oh, horses. I love horses. So yeah, I really know nothing about this book. It does have nice stenciled edges. So it was relatively cheap off of Pango, and I'm hoping it's a decent YA. That's all I have to expect from it. And then these next 3 books you will see featured in a bookstore adventure vlog later in the month. I got Midnight at the Houdini, which is a middle grade. It sounded like something I'd enjoy. I also picked up The Fair Folk, which is about a woman who lives in Great Britain, and she grows up and the fairies follow her everywhere. It sounded interesting. And then I picked up Raiders of the Lost Heart, which is a romance that involves some archaeologists. So I'm excited to read this as well. So those are the books that I've accumulated since like December 30th to the end of January. I don't want to tell you how much money I spent this month on books. Here it is. I am trying to curb my book buying habits, but I want to know just how much money I am spending on physical books throughout the year. So I'm sharing that with you guys so that I'm more aware of it. But yeah. I never said I was going on a ban. I just said I was going to limit how much I spent on books. Okay. So that was my attempt at a monthly reset. Let me know down in the comments what was your favorite book of January. But if you don't want to comment any of that, but would like to let me know that you made it to the end of this video, could you leave me a clown? No, don't leave me a clown. Don't leave me a clown. I hate clowns. A top hat. Leave me a top hat emoji. That's sort of circus themed. And with that being said, thank you so much for watching, and until my next video, good luck on your February reading. Bye!